Senator O'Reilly.
And I won't. You speak eloquently for all of us in the remarks you've just made, and I won't repeat them. But you expressed the view of everyone here. I want to welcome my colleague, the Minister, to the House today, and say that it's a great pleasure, having sat on these benches with him, to see him back as Minister and answering this question. I have more than a passing interest.
That what we have at the moment here is commencement matters, and Senator O'Reilly is from the county of Cavan, and he's raising a matter regarding a particular school in his area, in his district. As Tip O'Neill famously said, yes, all politics is local, and this is an example of it here. And Senator O'Reilly is a very fine public representative himself.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a great exemplar of what Tip O'Neill spoke about, all right. Now, but I have more, thank you, Cathaoirleach, I have more than a passing interest in this question, as I'm a very proud past pupil of this school. It's one of the wonderful schools in our area, and if I could make a quick aside, during the Troubles or the violence or whatever, the conflict in Northern Ireland over the years, this school that was mixed in terms of religion, mixed in terms of social class, mixed in terms of geographical spread, was a huge factor in maintaining good community relationships on this side of the border, preventing a spillover of violence and eliminating sectarianism, because people learn to live with each other on the same campus. And I think you, Minister, have a very good comprehensive school in Limerick, which is modelled on the same, but wouldn't have the same function there, but would have the same philosophy. Now, what the school basically needs is a new gymnasium, in essence. And the reason the school needs the new gymnasium is that it's currently using a general purposes hall for PE, and the hall is not suitable because of it's not suitable because it has got steps, it's got a stage, it's got no runoff space, and it's got windows, and it's needed for another purpose that I'll come to in a moment. But the request for this began in 1998. That time the school had 400 students, now it has 620. The general purposes hall is not suitable. There could be 3 PE classes at the one time and only one can use it. There's a small canteen alongside the general purposes hall at which 60 students can sit at the one time out of 620. So students are sitting around on the floor, sitting on corridors, having their lunch, and it's highly unsatisfactory. The strategy would be, if we get the new gymnasium, to turn the general purposes hall into a seating area that could be used for lunch and allow students to sit together and be together. And we all know about the wellness programme, about the need for, and the government puts great emphasis on wellness, on mental wellness for young people. And it's important that young people sit down at lunchtime, sit together and have their lunch together. So there's a seating area there needed, instead of having people sitting around on corridors, on the floors, etc. It's really a ghastly situation. I know it intimately, being a past pupil, but I have also visited a number of times since in recent years. Now, so what this hall has marvellous potential. The general purpose hall is needed for seating for lunch. It's also needed for various addresses, etc. But there is a need for a specific PE, or rather gymnasium. And if we had that, you don't have to be told, Minister, of the efficacy of having a gymnasium for gymnasium's sake, for sport development, for athleticism, for all that goes with that, but also then the mental well-being question would be solved by having the seating area at lunchtime. So we need the gymnasium. We're living in different times now when it can be afforded. The school exercised great restraint. The principal, the board of management, and the teachers and pupils exercised great restraint in bad times, in an understanding that we couldn't get everything we wanted at once. But now that excuse no longer exists. I think it's a priority, Minister. I think it must be and should be done. And I'll come back later.
Just before the Minister comes in, before our guests leave, the window behind me, I should have pointed out earlier, is the projecting bow window that Hoban replicated in the White House. So as you leave, you can see behind that. So just another example of the link between us. So Stuart, another one for your White House Historical Association. And now calling the Minister.
Can I join with my colleagues in welcoming the Kennedy family? I represent the City of Limerick, and John F. Kennedy visited Limerick in 1963 in what was then the old racecourse. It's now, it's still, the racecourse have moved, but the structures are still there. And at the time, the mayor was female, so it was very, very unusual. And both my parents were there. My dad has passed away, my mother is still alive, and she remembers it with great fond affection. There's a huge bond between the Kennedys and Ireland, and really I hope you get an opportunity to visit the site. I don't know if you're getting an opportunity to go to Limerick, you'd be most welcome, and maybe you could fly home through Shannon. So look, but above everything else, it really is, apart from just the, I suppose, the human aspect, it's symbolic with ourselves and the Kennedys. It runs very deep, both for ourselves and for the Kennedy family, and it's great to have you here. Can I thank Senator O'Reilly for raising this important issue on behalf of his constituents. I've no doubt that St. Aidan's Comprehensive School regard you as a very proud alumni of the school itself, and are very proud of what you've done. St. Aidan's, and it gives the opportunity to outline to the House on behalf of the Department of Education and the Minister for upgrading school buildings, including St. Aidan's Comprehensive School, Cootehill, County Cavan. St. Aidan's is a co-educational comprehensive school. They were a new type of school of their time. You said 20 students, am I correct?
It starts 620 now. It
Yeah.
started with,
I
or
had-
rather it
I
had
had
499.
589, but 620.
It started with maybe less than 50.
Enrolled in the school for 2023 school year. They had 589, but we'll take that at 620. The Department's Planning and Building Unit recently received an application from St. Aidan's Comprehensive School seeking funding for new PE hall and social space for students. This is in addition to funding which was approved under the Additional Schools Accommodation, or ASA, scheme in 2020, provision of an engineering room, an engineering preparation room, a construction preparation and storage area, and a home economics room. This project has been devolved to the School Authority for delivery and is currently at Stage 2B, which is the detailed design stage. Investment expenditure on PE halls at post-primary schools are an element of the overall school building programme. Vision of general purpose rooms at PE halls at primary and post-primary level respectively, as well as social spaces and dining spaces in post-primary schools, form part of the accommodation brief for all new school buildings. This is also the case where a major building or refurbishment project is being delivered for an existing school. Almost 95% of the post-primary schools that made 2020 annual schools returns have indicated to the Department they either have a PE hall, access to a nearby PE hall, or a project in train to deliver, that will deliver a new PE hall which can be used as a sport facility. The Senator O'Reilly will appreciate that the immediate priority of this Department for new and replacement school places each year to ensure every child has a school place. In the context, the main focus of the Department resources over the last decade for the coming period is in provision of additional capacity to cater for increased demographics, particularly at post-primary level, and for the provision for children with special educational needs. The Department will continue to work to ensure that capital investment in our schools is targeted in the most efficient and effective way to support schools in meeting the educational needs of their students and communities. Under Project 2040, the Education Centre will receive a total of approximately €4.4 billion capital investment over the period 21 to 25. There will be a rolling 5-year funding envelope which will be updated annually for the period 2026 to 2030, when the Government's overall NDP funding envelope €136 billion in Exchequer capital, €165 billion total capital including non-Exchequer, that will facilitate building a modern sustainable school infrastructure. Significant investment allows us to move forward with certainty in our ambition plans and deliver high-quality building projects with real focus on sustainability for the school communities across Ireland. The strengthening focus on refurbishment of existing school stock will have a different strands and will include a PE build and modernisation programme, which will enable students in post-primary schools to have access to appropriate facilities to support PE provision, particularly also in the context of the rollout of PE as a Leaving Cert subject. Enhanced and modernised PE facilities will also provide important needs for local communities. The application by St. Aidan's Comprehensive School for the PE hall will be considered as part of the future PE building and modernisation programme.
Thank you, Minister. And Senator O'Reilly.
with all due respects to my colleague, Minister O'Donnell, who is answering for the Minister for Education, I'm very unsatisfied with this answer because the case of St Aidan's is unique and it needs an announcement now. What you have here are children sitting on the floor, so it's not the same as a request for a gymnasium in other schools, in that here we need to provide the area that's currently been used for PE, very restricted PE to very limited numbers, that area needs to be converted to an area for sitting around and eating at lunchtime and chatting together for students. And there needs to be a distinct gymnasium. Now, I know that the Minister, because I know the Minister personally recognises what I'm talking about, that it is crucial that a gymnasium, a standalone gymnasium, be in this school. So what you have at the moment, because you're making the general purposes hall into a makeshift PE area, you're denying the students an area to congregate and sit at lunchtime. It goes against every principle, every good educational principle, every wellness principle, everything in the philosophy of education. It's an absolute madness, and it can't be allowed to continue. So I'm very dissatisfied that there's not a specific commitment to this project, and I would again appeal through you, Minister, to the Minister for Education to give a commitment and build this project as a standalone necessary exercise. It's not the normal application for a gymnasium. It's an emergency need to provide lunch sitting area, to provide a gymnasium area, and to provide the combined PE facilities and general wellness facilities. So it is crucial that it's done, and I must say this is a highly unsatisfactory answer, but I hope it's a prelude to a good answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Once again, I'd like to thank Senator O'Reilly for allowing me to outline the Department's Education mission to the House. As the Senator is aware, St Aidan's Company is currently advancing an additional school accommodation project, which is delivering additional specialist classrooms and ancillary accommodation. Is currently at design stage, stage 2B. As I said earlier, under Project 2040, there's 4.4 billion capital investment over the period 21-25. The current priority for the department is, in general terms, the additional school capacity, including with special needs. Future investment will include a strengthening focus on modernisation of school, including the RFP provision. But I note the points that Senator O'Reilly has raised. There is currently an application before the department from St Aidan's Comprehensive seeking funding for new PE and social spaces for students. I suspect that will get the due consideration it deserves. It's a matter I will personally take up with the Education Minister, Norma Foley, on your behalf, and it's something I understand your commitment to, and you highlight what you know on the ground to be a major issue in terms of capacity. So it is a matter I will take up personally with the Minister for Education on your behalf.
Thank you very much indeed.